What's going on, everyone? Dylan here. This is going to be episode 11 of Strange. I'm flying solo this evening due to some scheduling issues, but we wanted to get something up for you, so here I am. Today I'm going to talk a little bit. It's probably going to be a shorter episode than normal. Probably not going to do a full hour, just a little something to hold you over till next week. I'm going to be talking about the Tunguska Event. I don't know if that's 100% the exact way to say it, but fuck it. I like it. Tunguska. So, for those of you who don't know, Tunguska happened in 1908, 30th of June, when around the Tunguska River, and some giant words that I will never be able to pronounce. Podkameniaya, Tunguskan River in Siberia, in the Russian Empire, there was an explosion in the early morn. It flattened roughly 2,000 kilometers of area and was roughly 1,000 times bigger than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, which is huge. And not only that, this explosion took place in 1908, so way before the atom bomb. So what makes this so crazy? Well, one, especially at the time, it was insane because no one really knew what had happened or where it came from. And people have been researching this event still. They're still looking into it, still trying to figure out 100% what happens. The number one theory and most accepted theory, and probably the most likely theory, is what they call an airburst of a meteorite. And that's when a pocket of air that is collected in front of a meteor that is coming to Earth, essentially the meteor will evaporate or explode and become nothing before it ever hits the surface, but that pocket of air that it is collected in force comes down and hits the Earth. Apparently it happens roughly once a year, and depending on the size of the meteor is the bigger the obvious impact, which is kind of crazy. You think about that stuff, it happens once a year, but the size of meteor that it would take for this to happen would be more like a 1 in 300 year event, according to the way they map it out, which is kind of crazy. But that also means that we're getting close to 200, we're a little over 100, so 200 years from now, our grandkids might see this something similar. Only now we have ways of kind of detecting these things in the sky, and that's how we know more about them than we did, obviously, in 1908. So there's plenty of testimonials. I'm going to read a couple of them because I find them very intriguing, so don't mind where I'm looking because I'm reading off camera here. So this is a testimony of S. Semenov. At breakfast time, I was sitting by the house at the Varendan trading post, roughly 65 kilometers or 40 miles south of the explosion, facing north. Suddenly, I saw that directly to the north, over the Okul-Tunguska road, the sky split in two and fire appeared high and wide over the forest. The split in the sky grew larger and the entire northern side was covered with fire. At that moment, I became so hot that I couldn't bear it. It was as if my shirt was on fire. From the northern side, there was fire. The fire was from where the fire came was strong heat. I wanted to tear off my shirt and throw it down, but then the sky shut close and a strong thump sounded, and I was thrown a few meters. I lost my senses for a moment, but then my wife ran out and led me into the house. After that, such noise came, as if rocks were falling or cannons were firing. The earth shook, and when I was on the ground, I pressed my head down, fearing rocks would smash it. When the sky opened up, hot winds raced between the houses like from cannons, which left traces in the ground like pathways, and it damaged some crops. Later, we saw that many windows were shattered, and in the barn, a part of the iron lock had snapped. So that's one testimonial. Another one here. We had a hut by the this is Chuchin of the Sharagar tribe. I am probably butchering all these, so sorry guys. We had a hut by the river with my brother Chikarn. We were sleeping. Suddenly, we both woke at the same time. Somebody shoved us. We heard whistling and felt strong wind. Chikarn said, "Can you hear all those birds flying overhead?" We were both in the hut, couldn't see what was going on outside. Suddenly I got shoved again, and this time so hard I fell into the fire. I got scared. Sugarman got scared too. We started crying out for father, mother, brother, but no one answered. There was noise beyond the hut. We could hear trees falling down. Shuriken and I got out our sleeping bags and wanted to run out, but then the thunder struck. This was the first thunder. The earth began to move and rock, and the wind hit our hut and knocked it over. My body was pushed down by sticks, but my head was in the clear. Then I saw a wonder. Trees were falling. The branches were on fire. It became mighty bright. How can I say this? As if there was a second sun. My eyes were hurting. I even closed them. It was like what the Russians called lightning. And immediately there was a loud thunderclap. This was the second thunder. The morning was sunny. There were no clouds or sun shining brightly as usual. And suddenly there came a second one. Shuriken and I had some difficulty getting out from under the remains of our hut. Then we saw that above, but in a different place, there was another flash, and loud thunder came. This was the third thunder strike. Wind came again, knocked us off our feet, struck the fallen trees. We looked at the fallen trees, watched as the treetops got snapped off, watched the fires. Suddenly Shuriken yelled, "Look up," and pointed with his hand. I looked there and saw another flash, and it made another thunder. But the noise was less than before. This was the fourth strike, like normal thunder. Now I remember well, there was also one more thunder strike, but it was small and somewhere far away, where the sun goes to sleep. So there's several more testimonials and things. I could sit here and read them for the next 20 minutes probably, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it with those two because I think those two are pretty cool, pretty powerful. Give you a pretty solid idea. So yeah, this thing. I mean, it bent the trees over. I mean, it looked so much similar to the way that a massive bomb would hit and affect an area. So if we're pretty sure it was a meteor airburst, what makes it so crazy or unique or interesting, right? That's kind of the question, right? Like, why do we care? Well, one, there's no 100% definitive proof that it was an airburst. That's the leading theory, which opens the door to all kinds of other crazy theories and fun theories and entertaining. And I say all this is a reminder that during the Tunguska event, there are no known human casualties, right? No deaths other than animals and the plant life and stuff of that nature. So there was no human casualties in this, which is kind of crazy in a sense, because if this kind of stuff happens, and then it in an Earth that's very populated by humans, and for something to hit on land and miss us so greatly that no human life was lost, but it was still such a massive scale, that's pretty crazy luck. Like, that's good. I mean, maybe not. Maybe my math and my numbers are completely wrong, but I mean, if this thing hits New York or it hits London or any other major area, goodbye, lots of people. Goodbye. So, since it has happened, there has been plenty of researchers who have gone out there looking for answers, trying to figure out exactly what had happened. One of the craziest points of fact in this is that all the way up till today, we don't actually have 100% like, here's the impact point. Like, we have a good idea based on how the trees fell and things of that nature, but we don't actually have that impact point. So the fact that a comet or meteor or asteroid or whatever like physically hit the Earth, it's hard to say that, because even an airburst you would think would give you some sort of, to cause an explosion that big, there would be some sort of impact point of where that air met with the Earth and caused this detonation. So the fact that we can't find an impact point is super intriguing to me. one of the first scientists who got out there and actually started looking around was a dude by the name of Leonid Kulik, and he spent a lot of time out there. He spent a lot of time surveying the ground, trying to figure out some things. There was a lake that they thought maybe there was the impact point, but when they got down and they started sifting at the bottom of the lake, there was full tree roots and that were like in the earth. And if that was the impact point that then filled with water over time, because it took several years, and this area in general is just water. It's swamp, marsh. In the summertime, you're talking about mosquitoes and just all kinds of craziness. If you watch, there's plenty of documentaries on it, and you can see some of the guys out there in full suits, and there is literally thousands of mosquitoes just embedded on their suits trying to get in. There's lots of dangerous wildlife, snakes, very poisonous snakes and things like that. It's not a fun place to be. It's not a very nice place to be. You got to have a little bit of skill, and you got to have some trackers and some navigators of the such to really get in and out of the area safely. If I went out there, dead in a week. That's all I'm saying. If I went out there by myself, dead in a week. No questions asked. So Kulik did a lot of research, but then he essentially, during World War II, he was killed. He signed up, went to battle, died, and so no one really made it back for a while. But since then, it's been opened up. Western scientists and geologists and people of the sort have been allowed in, and all over the place people have been coming. So this place has been thoroughly picked through time and time again. And especially after World War II and after the discovery of the atom bomb, people went in there like, bam, just start checking for some radiation. None. Can't find any. So, or at least nothing off the norm, if that makes sense. So it really is so it pretty much eliminates some sort of early nuclear weapon. Just does, for the most part. Now, another leading theory, because some of the testimonies will talk about how, like you said, there's those cracks of thunder, and they came, and then there was another, and then there was another, and some say that there was all these sounds that lingered for 30, 40 minutes before the explosion and after, and which wouldn't really be like an airburst. That's like kind of like one big and done thing. Maybe it's multiple. Maybe that it wasn't one, it was multiple. I don't know. But so there is some geologists with theories regarding cracks where volcanic magma, lava, and stuff from the core cracked through the upper crust and let out the gas and the heat, and it caused the explosion, which from my understanding, it would essentially escape and erupt into the air, and it would be a very loud event, and then come back down, causing an explosion. It would take a lot of time. So a lot of people who have testimonies of like sound and explosions over the course of an hour or 40 minutes kind of plays into that being a possibility. So that's one of the theories. So you have asteroids and comets and airburst meteor, as well as possible volcanic activity gases pushing through the Earth's crust from the core. And from there, it starts to go nuts, okay? Because there was a lot of other crazy stuff going on in the world at the time. A big thing going on, for instance, so the dates are a little fuzzy. Like, this is the sound date that people say it happened. There could be some leeway in that, something regarding the fact that slightly different calendars being used by the East and the West at the time. It's just things. So one of the possible theories is Tesla's energy towers, or his what do they actually call them? I don't want to sound dumb as fuck here, even though I probably do. His transmission towers that were set and supposed to essentially give worldwide wireless communication, worldwide transmission of electricity, and a shield to protect the U.S. from foreign invasion. The theoretical possibilities here. So there's stories that he essentially shot an arc at the North Pole because of the no population, and there was a gentleman who was the first gentleman. I want to get his name here. Perry, Admiral Perry, which is the first person to reach the North Pole by land, was going to be making a trip to the North Pole. Tesla contacted him and said, hey, I want you to just record any oddities or any crazy things that you see. And essentially he shot his ray at the North Pole. Now this thing could produce, in a beam style fashion supposedly, it could produce 100 billion watts of electricity. Okay, which is insane. That's a lot. Especially if you can control the amount of electricity distributed over the amount of time. Because electricity, 1,000 watts over, or this is a billion watts, but I'm saying, like, you know, if you have like a toaster that gets, just, I'm making these numbers up, so all you people who are like electricians and know this shit, I apologize, but if you have a toaster that gets 1,000 watts of electricity, let's say, it's not like every millisecond, it's like just a constant 1,000 watts every millisecond. It's distributed over a course of time, to where that same amount, even though this is the amount of electricity it takes to power it, if it was all to be condensed and issued in a millisecond to that device, it would fry it, it would destroy it. Same amount of electricity, just the amount of time of which that electricity is administered. Like a shot, apparently. That's how I'm describing this. So he shot at the North Pole and supposedly missed. And that Tunguska was essentially Tesla's Peace Tower fucking shit up. I don't know. Like I said, this is all huge speculation. There's, you know, plenty of information you can read on it. We'll see. I mean, the shot from Long Island to the North Pole, directly past it, is pretty much a good solid straight line into Tunguska, which helps aid for this theory. And Perry didn't have anything to report. Nothing. He was like, nothing. And Tesla's like, what? I shot the North Pole with a goddamn massive amount of electricity. How is there nothing? And then it wasn't until like 15 years later that we even got word of the Tunguska event happening. You know, because that's how long it took it to even get back to us, and for us to even know that that happened. So that's one of the more outlandish theories, is Tesla. South of Tunguska, southwest a little bit, there is a tribe of people who make these discs, and they're the Dropa tribe. And they have always been odd, weird. Their physicality of them is slightly not humanish in senses from the legends and lore. Many people believe that they were from outer space. They were some sort of alien species, or even an alien species mixed with a human species, and the Dropa tribe was born. And so like the theory is that there was a tribe that essentially had crashed on Earth with no way of getting off, so they made the best of the situation. Picked up some local chicks, made their own little tribe of people. Bada bing, bada boom. And so some people, there's theories that Tunguska was a rescue attempt for this tribe. But similar to the way they crashed, the rescue ship crashed. and detonated, exploding at such a force and power that it essentially obliterated all trace and detonated above the ground, not in the ground, leaving no impact. There's way too many ifs, ands, or buts there. Aliens are obviously going to come into effect, and one of the main reasons is that it was recorded on several of the accounts that for several days after the explosion in Tunguska, there was a coloring effect in the sky, which is very similar to the coloring effect when we shoot rockets into outer space. That the impact of our atmosphere and leaving the Earth mixed with the gas and all the power that it takes to do such a thing creates a coloring effect in the sky for a few days. So this is a very similar event, as they put it. So you have that on top of it, so it makes it seem like maybe it's something spaceship related because of that. But the theories go so far with the alien stuff that it could have even been that some sort of asteroid or meteor, whether it be of some sort of physical force or something more made of like dust and ice that had collected coming down, that it would have been a world-ending event, similar to like, dinosaur theories with meteors. Only some sort of alien race intercepted it and sacrificed themselves, destroying the comet or meteor or whatever, as well as their ship, and turning it essentially into ash in order to save our planet. That's nice. That's heartwarming. It feels good. I don't know how much stock I put into that. So the theories beyond that, you have black hole theories regarding the possibility of sorry, I'm pulling up some of my notes. So a collision with a miniature black hole or a piece of antimatter. So that's always possible, I guess, something of that nature. It's a little out of the realm. I mean, like I said, there's so many factors in there for that, something like that to happen, I guess. So I'll just read a little piece of this, because like I said, this is a little out of my realm of full knowledge and understanding. So I don't want to just sit here and bullshit the idea, missing the point. So the physical process that occurs when a subatomic particle collides with the respective antiparticle of the opposite charge, producing an immense amount of energy. According to the theory first suggested in 1941 by Lincoln LaPaz, the Tunguska event was likely caused by the annihilation of a chunk of antimatter colliding with Earth. Although the antimatter theory explains observed illumination phenomenon, the skylight effect that I was talking about, and why no remains of asteroids or comets have been found in the area, the existence of such a large antimatter chunk is often deemed being theoretically impossible. In addition, the annihilation of the alleged chunk of antimatter would probably happen in the uppermost atmospheric levels. So it's out there. And see, that's another thing, is that even with the airburst effect of the comet, the most accepted theory, there would be particles, there would be pieces. Even if it exploded in the atmosphere, it could burn entirely up, and there could be nothing. But you would think that maybe some things would get down there, right? Some pieces or chunks would follow. But maybe not, because you're going through the atmosphere, you're burning up, and then that pocket of air detonates and explodes, so then any pieces that do actually get through that are now being hit by the secondary explosion or force of energy. So maybe not. But they haven't. Now, I think in 2013, some researchers have pulled out some chunks, and also the discovery and some of the aerial shots of Lake Chico believe that if you look at the Lake Chico, it sort of has a funnel type look of a cone, something big hitting and sliding in, and as it detonates and gets smaller. So some people think that this Lake Chico might have been the actual impact point. And they've pulled out some shards and some pieces that they believe might be meteorite, but it hasn't actually been conclusive one way or another on it. So this is like everything that happens, every discovery, every theory, people get bits and pieces of it, and there's just never 100% proof of any of it, to where we're just left with, yeah, most likely this one because it's the least crazy or unlikely one for us people to just go, yep, this is it. So what caused Tunguska? What are your guys' thoughts and theories on it? What do you guys think? Which theories do you believe? I think the only one I missed, which I actually enjoy, is Agda, god of thunder. Some of the tribes of the people living there believe that it was one of their gods destroying a tribe, even though they said there's no recorded fatalities. That it was in that second theory or the second eyewitness testimony that I read, where he talks about thunder over and over again, the sound of thunder, sound of thunder. So, some tribes believe it was their god striking the earth because he was angry over something. There's the full theory has like all these reasonings and all these things. It's pretty simplistic though. I mean, they believe, just like the Greeks would believe that Zeus struck lightning to burn a forest or do this or that. It's very similar to that. So, I mean, we have theories that range from deep scientific study to our God struck the earth. That's the full spectrum of theories going on in Tunguska. So which one do you put your stock in? Which one do you think is most likely? Do you think alien intervention, crashed alien ship, whether it be a rescue ship or not? Did Tesla miss the North Pole and devastate, luckily, an uninhabited area of the world? What do you think? What are your guys' thoughts on this? Because, I don't know, I think it's kind of crazy. It's pretty cool. There is some similar events. So in 1930, in the Tunguska River event, is what it's called in Brazil, there was an explosion of a super bolide that left no clear evidence of an impact crater. So modern development in infrasound detection by the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization and infrared DPS satellite technology has reduced the likelihood of undetected airbursts. So the one there has been more proved to be an airburst for the most part. And then, so there was the one in the Tunguska River in Brazil, as well as there was another one in Russia. This one was actually in a populated area of Russia, and it was considered a very small airburst, as to where the one in Tunguska is considered a massive or gigantuous airburst. Just the kind of the difference there. So, and that was in February 15th of 2013. So exceptionally recently. In Chelyabinsk, apologize for butchering all these Russian cities and tribes and words. It's in the Ural district of Russia. That one, they believe, measured 17 to 20 meters, the asteroid, and with an estimated initial mass of 11,000 tons. I don't know how to say that. You guys can just butcher me and tear me apart in the comments for that. And inflicted over 1,200 injuries, mainly from broken glass, falling windows, and that were shattered by the shockwave. So there's similar events of smaller scale that we can look at, and that's why the airburst theory is so on top. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know your thoughts on it. I'm going with the God of Thunder because, yeah, fucking awesome. Actually, out of all the more, we'll put it more sci-fi answers, the UFOs, or paranormal or strange events, we should say, since that's the show, right? Tesla's super beam, UFO crash or UFO of some sort, and like I said, I laid out a couple different theories there. God of Thunder. The Tesla one seems very plausible to me because we know how powerful that invention could have been. We know what it could do. We have all kinds of things involved with as far as governments going after the research after the fact, Russia in particular. So I want to know what you guys think. Like I said, this is a short one. That's pretty much going to be it. That's the Tunguska event. I hope you guys enjoyed it. At least as much as I enjoyed researching and reading about it. Let me hear your guys' theories and thoughts on it. And as always, throw out your ideas for a show or a concept. If there's something you think we should look into and give you our thoughts and theories on it, just shoot it our way in the comment section below, or even our email and all of our other stuff is down there too. So feel free to contact us in any way. As always, hit that like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We are getting very close now. At the time of this video, I think we're at 75 subscribers, so we're getting very close to closing in on our first 100. So, if you enjoy it, feel free to share it and spread it around and help us out. It means the world to us, guys. And until next time, I'll be back with Tommy next week. And until then, life is strange.